Hey nerds. I'm about to review episode 7 of Luke Cage entitled Manifest. And this title is very easy to connect to the themes of the episode, especially given that we see kind of the rise and fall of Cottonmouth and what made him who he is and how damaged he is. I think that whole flashback sequence gives him a little bit of redemption, seeing how he does what he does, and he's kind of broken. Like, he doesn't want to ask for help. He hasn't asked for help in the series at all up until this point. Well, I shouldn't say up until this point. He still didn't ask for help. And yet, it makes it really, really sad to see that Cottonmouth, once upon a time, was just like any of the youths that we've seen in the show already die. You know, scared, wanting to do something more than just live the life of the streets, but being buried by it. And the whole family first thing, I understand it. But I mean, technically, not even technically, they back in the day, they would have killed Cottonmouth for basically having any deals with Domingo, regardless of how much animosity they had towards each other the whole time. I feel bad. I really feel bad for Cottonmouth. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to before this episode, and it made me really sad because as I'm getting to know Cottonmouth, I'm sympathizing with him. You know, he gets fucking murdered, and you know, it is a crime of passion and whatnot, but Shades really kind of foreshadowed it, and I really thought that his cousin was going to do something else. I thought she was going to have all the people on the council on her I don't know, they keep saying the council, so obviously it's New York local government. I thought she was going to have everyone who knew about her having to resign was going to get murdered. Although seems to me that she's going to take over the club, and she's going to be her own evil alias, and Luke Cage has to deal with that. Although with a bullet in his kidney or something right now, I'm pretty sure he's going to have a hard time doing that. And I guess given what the show is all about and all the themes and stuff, it's very, very dramatic and fitting that the thing that finally is actually able to hurt him is a specialized bullet. Because bullets, especially because, you know, in urban shit, I'm not gonna joke or make light of beat around the bush. I'll say in black communities, when there are lots of shootouts and, you know, stray bullets, a lot of people die just for no reason, wrong place, wrong time. And technically Luke was in the wrong place at the wrong time, but I mean, they're probably going to be able to find him. He's pretty visible in the community, and he's kind of a pillar of the community as he finally steps into his own of not running away, even though that's what he's been on the heel of doing if something really went wrong, which kind of explains why he, you know, was so slow to act in general, and why even people on the show question it, was like, why don't you do stuff? Why aren't you more involved? Why don't you just bust more heads? I mean, other than his not wanting to kill anybody, keeping that low profile and people not digging too much and seeing that Luke Cage is actually, you know, a fake identity is a big reason why. But as an audience, we already knew that. But it's even more seen now, especially since we have or had characters that knew the secret. Now we have one less, which really helps. Although Shades may have prompted, what do they call her? Back, like, in episode 2, I think, Cottonmouth called his cousin Black Dahlia. So I'm thinking that's what people are going to start calling her as soon as she kind of takes control of the criminal organization. And I'm under the assumption that she is, because who's going to run Cottonmouth's club unless she sells it? If she sells it, I mean, it won't be as satisfying for her. It won't be as satisfying to see her do that as opposed to like running the club, especially since if she lets this resignation thing happen, she won't have much to do. And I mean, as much as her arc is getting really interesting, it will be a shame for it just to fall flat with her having nothing to do in the next episode. I mean, there's got to be a lot that's going to happen. In terms of the flashbacks, we didn't see a lot of Black Dahlia, but we did see what Cottonmouth was talking about in terms of, hey, you know, you were sheltered. They were trying to protect you, and they were throwing me to the wolves, you know, trying to make me a man or a gangster. And I didn't actually think this show was going to play that much into like gender politics and like what we expect of men and what we expect of women, and the fact that we can see that they want to not have her experience or see that violence and animosity. They were pushing her to be a lawyer and things like that. It was pretty obvious, and I don't want to say Cottonmouth was completely right in terms of that. Although, in terms of molestation and maybe rape, I think sending her to a boarding school is a good idea. However, if I was there or if I was Cottonmouth, I would have been like, hey, or I would have said directly, because he did kind of mention this, you know what I had to do, you know, how he was forced to kill her dad, I guess, which is really messed up, unless they were both just adopted, because, I don't know, maybe they're not actually cousins, as well. I'm starting to think, even though it is family first, it could be kind of an adopted family, given that apparently, you know, he's completely abandoned by his crack whore mother and his dad who was in the wind, I guess, who may or may have not been in the life. But you kind of get this picture that Cottonmouth is kind of on rails. He's doing what has kind of been predestined for him. He doesn't have a lot of control over his own actions. I mean, it seems like he does, but he doesn't. And this show cannot go more than like, what, an episode and a half without killing a character, which is pretty intense. I mean, people are just dropping like flies, and I wonder who's going to be next. Actually, I was thinking right before this video, man, maybe I should make a Deadpool. At the end of all these videos, I guess I'm going to say who I think is going to die next, if another death is going to happen. I did think Cottonmouth was probably going to die, and I was wrong about, I shouldn't even say I was wrong. I actually withdrew Misty from the Deadpool, especially now. She's going to be kind of the linchpin and perhaps keeping Luke Cage from being put in jail, I feel like. Although with him bleeding on the ground as he is, we don't know what's going to happen with him. But given this episode 7 and it's called Luke Cage, I'm pretty sure Luke Cage is not going to die. Also, you had a sniper rifle. I'm sorry, bro. If you're playing Call of Duty, that would be a fail. You should have got a headshot. And it does suck that they haven't tried to kill Luke Cage in more ingenious ways. The fact that it was pitched, hey, do you know if burning him alive or drowning him works? And they even mentioned it again in this episode where like, oh, they think the N-word can walk on water. And Shades is like, well, can he? Almost, man, wink, 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 try to drown him. But Cottonmouth didn't want to listen. He didn't want any help at all. Although, what was it? I do think it was interesting that Zip got to take that shot at Luke Cage. And I like that they aren't just having like random characters doing stuff. Like the characters that they're making moves are characters who are mainstays, people who've been in multiple episodes and just we kind of know what they're about. Even if we have a shallow understanding of them, Zip will probably be like the character we understand the least in terms of like his motivations, but we get it. He's trying to prove himself. He's a hood person and doesn't seem to be like some of the youth that we've grown to be so sympathetic towards, given the circumstances in which they found themselves in life, Cottonmouth included now. But I would say Zip is the least sympathetic character on the show right now, which is weird. Because he's a character that you're not really supposed to think about. I mean, he's as villainous as they come. Even Shades has had lots of moments of, hey, you know, I came from nothing. I had to work my way here. And I just want to mention something. Other than when he was in prison with Luke, he hasn't really done anything in terms of physical violence. I really thought he was going to be like busting heads or like literally like breaking someone's fingers or something right before they were able to put their hands on Cottonmouth. But I mean, he's really been a speaking piece for was Diamondback, and I am really interested in who Diamondback is. I still hold just a little bit onto my theory that he actually is Diamondback, which is why he knows Diamondback's intentions so well, even without talking to him. But obviously, if he's his right-hand man or one of his like main lieutenants, then I think it would carry the same weight. I mean, if he was like Roland in Daredevil, then it totally makes sense. Also, R.I.P. Roland Daredevil. I really like that character, and he died so messed up. And he died very similar to Cottonmouth, with the tables turned on him thinking that he had control over the situation. But, you know, when you say family first and you turn your back thinking that they're not going to hit you with a bottle and then knock you through a window, I don't know, man. You should think about where your family comes from. I guess he just didn't think that she had it in her. And, you know, she has all this guilt and this remorse, but, you know, she's probably going to be like a cold, heartless kind of person. I don't think we're going to see too much more sympathy out of the true murder of Cottonmouth, even though they're about to blame it on Luke Cage for days. I guess the other thing I should mention is the whole putting Luke Cage in his pocket thing. I wanted to see how that was going to turn out. I mean, I guess maybe it wouldn't have turned out any sort of way, since Luke was going to try to put him in jail immediately that night, maybe. It's really hard to tell, but I do like how they had Cottonmouth have a purpose, even though they were killing him that episode. I know a lot of shows kill off characters in situations where it's like, we're done with this character's arc, we're good. And his arc was still in full swing. I think Cottonmouth could have actually rehabilitated. If he went to jail, he might have become a better person, and then, you know, we could have seen him again. You never know. Now that he's dead, that possibility is over. Life is full of possibilities. Sorry, Walking Dead reference. It was a really intense episode, and it gave me intense feels. I do like how Claire wasn't just kind of a one-shot of a character in terms of using her for this series. And I hope that she's consistently in the rest of these episodes, especially with so many characters dropping dead. I'm pretty sure she's plot armored against death, at least right now. Like I said, if she dies, I think she's not gonna die until Defenders. If they decide to kill her off, which will be a shame, because Rosario Dawson is a great actor. Whew, so many things. Luke Cage is still the only person with superpowers, so that's cool. We don't want to make things too complicated. And before the end of the series, I'm probably going to try to do some research and see which villains from the comics ended up being in this show, if any. So that's interesting. I think I'm just going to end it there, but in terms of Deadpool, not a huge amount of characters left, and I feel like Black Dahlia is going to have to stay for a while. So I think if she dies next, she's not going to die until maybe the last 2 episodes, because I think we won't see Diamondback probably till the last episode. But we might get surprised. This show's been really surprising so far, and the plot has been beautiful. Actually, maybe it'll be Shades. I'll put Shades into Deadpool, only because he's been pretty much untouchable up until this point. And, you know, the whole thing with his character when he takes off his glasses and he has a really emotional speech, I really like, because, you know, he's being portrayed as not like an evil character. He's like chaotic neutral. Yeah, right? So he's like, you know, he's working for a bad guy. He's really mitigating a lot of bullshit, but like, he doesn't seem to have a lot of ill intentions, at least not in present day. So I'm really interested in seeing where it goes, and if he tries to get with Black Dahlia. I know I keep calling her Black Dahlia and forget her name, because they called her like 3 different names, obviously different variations of her name. I think it was Mabel. Regardless of all that, I do want to one more thing mention the death of father figures, because I'm really interested in seeing if Luke gets to ever talk to his dad. But in terms of this Netflix Marvel Cinematic Universe, I was thinking of the parallels they were showing between Daredevil and Fisk, especially considering they name drop Fisk in terms of people who were like untouchable but were, you know, career criminals. and like, you know, what happened to Fisk can happen to you, to Cottonmouth earlier on in the series, and him kind of brushing it off. And of course, he ended up worse than that, obviously. But the fact that this death of fathers thing is such a pivotal coming to age thing slash what's the word I'm looking for? Pivotal moment, making the character like reevaluate and step up and change as a character. Like this enormous change happens with these characters over the death of father, or in Cottonmouth's case, his uncle, that he had to kill himself. Similar to Fisk killing his own dad after he abused his mom. And of course, Matt Murdock not killing his dad, but feeling like his dad died because of him, which in a way he did, but because of his love for him, not because, you know, he like was being malicious or something. I mean, Marvel and superhero stories in general love this. I mean, thanks Spider-Man, Uncle Ben. But we've gotten to 16 minutes on a single review, so I think I'm gonna end here. Keep watching Luke Cage, nerds. Brick wall got punctured.